Man, you know what I love? Movies that get canceled and turn into lost media.
Really?
Of course I do! So a good chunk of this video is actually from a segment from a much bigger video I made 2 months ago about the state of the animation industry. It's not looking good, fellas. I wanted to make this its own video, as not only are there new updates surrounding the situation, but I want to take another crack at boosting awareness for the entire debacle, as this movie shouldn't be lost to the sands of time, despite the fact that David Zaslav seems hellbent on ensuring it's never released by Warner Bros. Discovery. And ironically, this situation as a whole mirrors what this movie is really about: a greedy corporation acting in bad faith to protect some CEO's bottom dollar. This is the tale of Coyote versus Acme. When I started writing this video, this story actually had a relatively happy ending. But then Warner f***ed it up again. Coyote vs. Acme is a live-action CG animated hybrid film, a la the recent Tom and Jerry movie and... yeah, that. Starring Will Forte, John Cena, Wile E, Coyote, and Roadrunner. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the infamously hapless canine Wile E. Coyote takes center stage in the story, which sees him sue the Acme Corporation for the not quite in working order devices he has received from them over the years in his quest to best his nemesis and potential meal, the Roadrunner, as seen in the classic cartoons. Forte plays a down-on-his-luck human attorney who takes on Wile E. as a client in his suit, only to discover that his boss at his former law firm, played by John Cena, is representing Acme. This sounds fun! A new Looney Tunes movie that takes a risk by focusing on a duo who isn't Bugs and Daffy? And a creative premise that challenges the entire status quo of these cartoons? Featuring 2 of Hollywood's silly little guys? And it's reminiscent of one of my guilty pleasure movies, Looney Tunes Back in Action? I needed this movie in my life yesterday! Damn it all to hell! Only a month after it was announced, Coyote vs. Acme was pulled from Warner Bros. Release schedule on April 26, 2022. I guess it didn't have enough Kenergy to compete with Barbie, as that replaced its original release date. Somewhere out there, a Looney Tunes guy had to explain to his girlfriend that that's why he wasn't excited to see the movie. And hey, Barbie made them over $1 billion, so I doubt they have much remorse about that. Despite the removal from release schedule, you can tell that the cast and crew remained optimistic that Coyote vs. Acme would eventually see the light of day. For example, take John Cena's cryptic-ass Instagram that I adore, presented without context or caption. It felt like every few days he would post a Looney Tunes screen cap to silently remind his fans and Warner that the film was still coming. But after a certain point, these screen caps started to get ominous, depressing. Even some of his non-Looney Tunes posts started to raise some concern, like this photo of Babe Ruth retiring that he posted on November 8th, 2023. Or what he posted on the next day, on November 9th, 2023. What is, at the time of making this video, his last Looney Tunes adjacent post. He hasn't posted anything reminiscent of Looney Tunes since. The post is a vintage end card, similar to something we see at the end of every Looney Tunes short. That's all, folks. And that's because on November 9th, it was announced that Coyote vs. Acme was shelved by Warner Bros., despite it being completely finished, as the studio planned on taking a $30 million tax write-off instead of releasing the film. In another maneuver by the David Zaslav-run Warner Bros. Discovery to kill movies, we hear on very good authority that Warner Bros. Will not be releasing the hybrid live-action animated Coyote vs. Acme, with the conglomerate taking an estimated $30 million write-down on the $70 million production. This reps the 3rd time that Zaslav's Warner Bros. Has pulled the plug on a movie greenlighted by the previous Warner Media administration, the other 2 being the Max Destined Batgirl and the animated Scooby Holiday Haunt. Take note of that. These were films greenlit when someone else was in charge. Almost as if ego was a factor. Couldn't imagine why. The difference here is that Coyote vs. Acme is a completed movie with very good test scores, 14 points above the family norm. We're told that the cast-strapped Warners find that it's not worth the cost to release the film theatrically or to sell to other buyers, and there are parties who are interested for their own streaming services. We hear Amazon kick the tires. After reporting a mixed 3rd quarter, the best means for Warner's money is a tax write-off. The crew was devastated, with the director Dave Green making the following statement. For 3 years, I was lucky enough to make a movie about Wile E. Coyote, the most persistent, passionate, and resilient character of all time. I was surrounded by a brilliant team who poured their souls into this project for years. We were all determined to honor the legacies of these historic characters and actually get them right. Along the ride, we were embraced by test audiences who rewarded us with fantastic scores. I am beyond proud of the final product and beyond devastated by Warner Brothers' decision. But in the spirit of Wile E. Coyote, resilience and persistence win the day. I think the fact that this happened the same year as the strikes really drove home that, contrary to what they claim, the higher-ups have very little respect for the craft and the people behind these projects. They made it apparent that no matter how far they get, anyone's movie can be taken away at a moment's notice. And they'll do it without any regret. In fact, Zaslav claimed at this year's Dillbook Summit that scrapping these films took courage. What content is going to help us win? The content that wasn't, we made a strategic decision on. It was difficult and it was painful, but it was the right decision for the company and it was necessary. Dude, Davey, come here. Closer, friend. You're a goddamn idiot. But hey, don't take my word for it. Just let the consequences speak for themselves. Reportedly, filmmakers began canceling meetings with Warner Discovery after the news of Coyote vs. Acme's fate. It became too apparent to too many people that this studio was in pretty bad shape. It's not the place to have your movie made. The public backlash was too large for Warner to ignore. So despite initially refusing to let the movie be shopped around, Warner Discovery finally folded on one of these projects and allowed Coyote vs. Acme to be shopped around, giving it a chance to see the light of day. This should be a happy ending, right? Film's gonna get released, and Warner's gonna catch a bag. And we see what can happen when people come together to speak out against corporate greed. I can't wait to see where this movie ends up, is what I would say if they weren't turning down deals. Netflix expressed interest in acquiring Coyote vs. Acme, but offered less than half of the $70 million budget cost. Talks ended there, and it's unknown if Warner Bros. Is speaking to any other potential buyers. My corporation in Christ, you wouldn't even have gotten half of the budget from a tax write-off. Now you want to see the value in your movies? I don't even know what to say, dude. This just sums up everything wrong with this company under the David Zaslav era. Everything feels like a game. It's hot, then it's cold. They want something, then they don't. But oh, people want it? Well, actually, it's worth so much. Warner Discovery, newsflash, buddy. You're not hot shit anymore. You're losing talent. Your big streaming service has already fallen from grace. The Warner Brothers and the Warner sister Dot already moved out of the water tower ages ago. You're washed. So please, kick David Zaslav's ass to the curb and get your shit together. Because at this rate, nobody's gonna wanna work for you. And Coyote vs. Acme, I hope you get to see the light of day soon. But I'm not counting on it. Haha, so here we are 2 months into the future, and we just got a very grim update over the weekend. According to The Wrap, it feels like Warner Bros. Discovery is truly planning on washing their hands clean of the film altogether, or erasing it from existence rather than giving it a proper release. They're refusing to let the film be screened at film festivals like South by Southwest, they're rejecting all the offers from streamers interested in buying the film, and the most insulting part, none of the executives responsible for the film's current predicament have even seen the finished product. They haven't watched the movie. To quote the Wrap article, with Warner Bros. Discovery's fourth quarter earnings call scheduled for February 23rd, Coyote vs. Acme is running out of time. Many of the film's team feel like the studio will use the ending of the quarter to get the movie off the books for good. Coyote vs. Acme is running up against something worse than a tunnel painted into the side of a mountain or a falling anvil. It will finally be silenced by the movie studio's balance sheet. According to several people familiar with the situation, Netflix, Amazon, and Paramount screened the movie, which was received well, and submitted handsome offers. Paramount even proposed a theatrical release component to their acquisition of Coyote vs. Acme that would allow Warner Bros. To save face and, more importantly, let audiences see the movie the way it was meant to be experienced. But Warner Bros., which stood to make $35 to $40 million on the tax write-down, wanted to buy something in the ballpark of $75 to $80 million from a buyer. And what's more, they wouldn't allow the interested studios to counter Warner Bros. Offer. It was a take it or leave it situation, one that the other studios didn't even know they were entering into, insiders told The Wrap. Significantly, Coyote vs. Acme was developed and greenlit by a previous regime. The only executive that worked on the movie that is still at the company is Jesse Ehrman. These executives, who trumpet a filmmaker-first approach and have recently signed big deals with directors like Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson, were apparently prepared to trash a movie that they never even watched. Ultimately, it just seems like Coyote vs. Acme is a movie they lost faith in, or never had faith in to begin with, because it was greenlit under someone else's leadership. It's weird. In a sense, it is a movie that people have been begging for, something fresh but familiar. Yet Warner is scared and don't have confidence that if it ain't Bugs or Daffy, or if there's no high-in-demand trendy actors, or if it wasn't greenlit under David Zaslav himself, then it may not succeed at all. Which is just absolutely baffling logic. And at the same time, it feels like they don't even want people to see it. They don't want positive word of mouth or anything that could jeopardize it from being a tax write-off with minimal backlash. And the worst part is, they're getting away with it. It's gotten to the point where people are even asking Mr. Beast to buy the film and release it publicly, which is certainly an idea. I don't think he's going to invest $80 million to release a film that he won't even make a profit on, unless he somehow got it into theaters. Overall, it's very wishful thinking, but a notion that I don't think he'll even entertain. But as always, these are just my thoughts, and I would love to hear yours. What's your take on this whole Coyote vs. Acme situation? Do you think it has a shot at being released, or is this the end of the road? Let me know in the comments below, and keep the convo going on Twitter and Insta at OffStrickVox and at Roundtable Vids. Check out TuneDrip for some dope cartoon merch, and if you enjoyed this video, please sort of like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!